4, a historic stop in Janesville. Kamala Harris visits the city as the first Democratic presidential candidate to do so since Obama in 2008. That visit, in Janesville for Harris, she discussed her goals if she were to win the presidency, emphasizing her day one priorities to help union workers. And there were a number of union workers in the crowd there. It was an invite-only event in Janesville, and one of our reporters was able to ride along in the motorcade from Madison to Rock County. Harris also emphasized only 4 days left until Election Day, encouraging people to vote if they haven't already.
When unions are strong, America is strong. Under my plan, we will invest in the industries that built America, like steel, iron, the electric power industry.
Harris and former President Donald Trump will host dueling rallies within just miles of each other later tonight. Trump will be in downtown Milwaukee. Harris will be in the suburbs. Trump's rally will be at Fiserv Forum, the same area where the Republican National Convention took place 3 months ago. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will also deliver remarks at a Trump campaign event tomorrow night up in Rice Lake. The event will start at noon at the UW Eau Claire Barron County Gym.